everyone, and welcome to the April 18th, 2019 Cumberland County Commissioners Workshop meeting. Please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. and at this time open up the floor to public comment. Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item 3. And I'll call on Commissioner DeFilippo to present Bobby Sullivan with an award for 25 years of service to Cumberland County. Bobby and G. Beckley, please come forward. Yes.
Good morning, everybody. We're celebrating Bobby Sullivan's 25 years of service with the county. She was hired back in March of 1994 as an administrative floater, and in September of 1990, was a part-time Department Clerk 1 position in the DA's office, and March 1994 promoted to, this must be, promoted to Legal Secretary 2. In April 2014, promoted to Administrative Supervisor. So Bobby, thank you very much for your many years of service.
We have one.
Would you like to say a few words? Once that gets turned off.
Myself?
Yeah.
I just thank you for the opportunity to be an employee in the county for as long as I have.
I actually prepared a few words.
Okay.
If I had to describe Bobby's performance in one word, it would be spectacular. She's extremely knowledgeable and takes pride in her work. She truly wants us to give the right answer or do the right thing. People from other courts often call her to find out what the answer should be. She'll even advocate on behalf of defendants or police officers if they've made a mistake to get me to do the right thing. She has really come into her own as our office manager, now supervisor, whatever they call them. She does an amazing job training this staff. She pushes them every day to learn something new without overwhelming them. She won't just give them the answer, she makes them think through the problem to figure out what the answer is, and if they're wrong, she'll tell them. She's done, I've also asked her to do some training to teach our other staff members to learn her job, and rather than pitch a fit about it, she willingly jumped in to realize that that's what's right for the courts. Our accounts balance to the penny, and heaven forbid the bank statement should reflect an error. Bobby's on the bank doorstep the first thing that morning explaining their error and how to fix it. She's also effectively learned to manage her boss, suggesting maybe a Diet Coke or an ice cream before I respond. She is a wonderful employee, and I hope all of you have a Bobby in your office.
Thank you. We have a minute of torture here.
A couple pictures in case someone wants.
Thank you. Thanks, Bobby. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are you doing?
Thank you.
25 years, another 25 years,
Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, Tammy Bender here to discuss the budget resolution 2019-12 regarding budget adjustment. Tammy?
Criminal Justice Services is increasing revenue and expenses by $50,000. Drug and alcohol has actually received additional funding to cover the withdrawal services, so they're going to be transferring the money to Criminal Justice Services Fund.
Any questions for Tammy? Thank you, Tammy. Next, we'll move on to agenda item 5, contracts and grants, and I'll call on Bud.
Good morning, Commissioners. We're going to move on to agenda items 5, Roman numeral 1, A through C. Our existing contracts contract extensions or addenda with no additional cost or increase to the county, and they include the following departments: Children and Youth Agreements, the Claremont Nursing and Rehabilitation Center Agreement, and the Prison Security Agreement. Commissioners, do you have any questions on the items mentioned above? Hearing none, we'll move on to Roman numeral 2, which consists of contracts, vendors, services, grants, and contracts with increases and decreases to the county. And we will first call on Stephanie Williams, who's joining us VTC, to discuss the agreement with Penn Township. Stephanie?
All right, good morning. This is another one of our land partnerships grant agreements. Back in September, you previously authorized a grant to Penn Township to update their comp plan and their zoning and subdivision land development ordinance. So this is just making the grant award official through a contract and would request your approval.
Stephanie, do you know, is this part of the additional funding that we're providing to our municipalities because of our no longer participating as a member of the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So we're actually providing some direct assistance to our local municipalities. Thank you.
Does anybody have
Yep.
any additional questions? Hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Next, we'll turn to Jamie Reaver to discuss the agreements for children and youth. Jamie?
Morning, Commissioners. The first agreement that we have is actually an addendum to our diversified treatment alternative agreement. They have offered a safety valve that we could purchase through them in order to flip a child to medical assistance, which would then fund their placement stay there. So we wanted to add that cost to the contract. The next one is Pennsylvania Counseling Services. This is actually just a letter of agreement. It's allowing the communication between Pennsylvania Counseling and Children and Youth for confidentiality and to continue services for our clients. The next one is a brand new contract that juvenile probation have looked into. It's the Outside-In School of Experiential Education. They offer 2 group home services. Both of the services are comparable to other group homes as far as rates go in service. The next one is North County Juvenile Justice Center. This is their one of our detention facilities. Their rate is actually a good bit lower than most of our other detentions, but they are further away and we don't use them quite as often. And then finally, we just did a contract for one specific child to continue her counseling through Winding Creek Counseling Services. And when we got their most recent invoice, there was a no-show amount on the bill that was not included in our original contract, so this is just to add that no-show amount for payment.
Anybody have any questions for Jamie? Hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you, Jamie. Next, the nursing home staff will discuss 4 agreements that I'll be calling on Bob Ames, Heather Raising, and Melissa Smith to present.
Good morning, everyone. You're actually just on three this morning. The first contract is Cerner Corporation. Cerner is our care tracker software. We were hoping to do away with them and take the Pentata product, but that has not been successful, so we need to get this new contract with Cerner to continue the care tracking. It's showing here a huge increase, but I would like to let you know that the previous contract was just for 3 months. The current contract is for 12 months. There is actually a decrease of $2,300 compared to our prior 12-month contract.
I have a question on that.
Yes.
We had discussed, and I thought we took action on I want to call it a transitional contract with them, but it was really more of a maintenance contract because of the inability for some of the data to migrate to the new system, which now will not be the new system. So we're retaining Cerner in their old capacity, as I understand it. So that contract, what happened to that transitional or maintenance contract? Does that go away?
It does go away, and they actually pay for it, and they're reimbursing us for that money that we paid out.
Okay, so that money now will go toward this?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
The next one is this, Cantata. It's an interface, software interface with our therapy. They are building a bridge between Cantata and the therapy Optum service. It's $1,000 for the actual bridge, and then there's a $20 a month service fee on that. It's very important. It'll connect all the therapy information right into the electronic medical record. Right now, we've been having people actually sit and input that into the electronic medical record.
Melissa, the $1,000 is a one-time cost, and then there's a $20 a month maintenance fee.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. The next contract is with UPMC. It's a revenue contract, getting a contract directly with UPMC for their health plans. It's a nice contract. We'll be paid for Medicare Advantage. We'll be paid 100% of the Medicare fee. For commercial services, we'll actually get 120% of the Medicare fee. Medicaid services will be 120%. And then what's really nice is they've carved out some high-cost services that they'll reimburse us for in addition to that. High-cost meds, TPNs, the wound therapy, the wound vac and the dressings for it and the canisters. They'll also pay for a special air bed and an extra heavy-duty bed. So this is a real nice contract. This is one that Caros had negotiated on our behalf. Any questions on that? Okay, now I'm outside my element, so bear with me here. Brad and King and John Locke both are out today. So I am going to discuss a $900,000 project. The original project for $500,000 is now estimated to be about $900,000. This is the replacement of the ceiling tile and reapply fireproof retardant steel columns. They not only have to replace the ceiling tile, but they have to replace the grid work. The reason being is the grid work that goes with the ceiling tiles would require clips on each ceiling tile, and every time you lift up the tile, the clips would break. And there's so much that goes on between the up in there that they just thought it would be crazy to do the clips. They were also asking to replace the ceiling light fixtures. If we kept the ones that we have currently, it would require a build of a fireproof tenting over each of the light fixtures. So with the replacement, it'll be probably less costly and more energy efficient. While the work is being done, it will require 1/2 of the floor in the tower building to be vacated. The project will last about 4 months. Had February 2022 to complete this project. There's a piece of that that's also in your paperwork, a proposal from Volker and Hall for $41,000. That's actually included in the $9 estimate. It's to prepare the construction documents for the project work, the drawing, the bid documents, the meeting answering questions, certificates of completion, all that good stuff. Am I answering your questions?
I don't see that.
That's the contract.
That would be the contract for Volker and Hall.
That was before that, then it was with the, it was under a contract.
I went out of order, I apologize.
No, it's just, we just.
Yes,
That's it,
yes,
yes.
that's
That's not a
41,000.
It's not a contract.
Well, my question is, the cost difference from the original projection. I mean, it's it's a pretty significant, hefty increase from what we were previously informed, right? So, I'd like to look into this a little bit further. I know we're under a time frame. I also know that, this is the result of an unfunded federal mandate. So, I know we have to do it. I just don't understand how we jumped from whatever, $400,000 to $900,000, so.
Commissioner Herzler,
Yeah.
John Locke told, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, go ahead.
John Locke said that he would be available Monday to answer any questions. So if you would like me to reach out to him to make sure it is in the Monday.
Let's see, is Brad or John, the more informed on this? Who should we be talking to?
Brad is gone until, Wednesday.
Oh,
John
okay.
Locke will be back Monday. He and Brad have been working very closely together.
Okay, so John's likely to have all
They
the answers.
can do.
Brad's the primary contact. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I also
Okay.
wanted,
Do you want,
Melissa, what did we budget for this project?
the 500,000?
Okay, all right, so it's going up 400, increase 400,000. So, yeah, I'd like to get some information on this.
I think John needs to know too that one of the questions we have is I think we're gonna have a lot of questions. So does this require action on Monday, or can we table this for 2 weeks to do a full diligence?
I believe they need the 41,000 approved quickly. Which is part of the 900,000, which needs to be done anyway. So.
Is it the new part or the old part? Did we anticipate this 41? Was that part of the anticipated part or the unanticipated part? You probably don't know, that's fine. We do need to talk to John, that's fine, it's not your fault. So.
Yeah, I have them available Monday, this may or may not.
Or
Be tabled.
Thank you, Melissa.
One more.
Oh.
They need a credit app approved for Baltimore door and frame. They've been using this vendor to purchase the fire-rated doors and materials that they need. They've already been using them, but they would like to get a credit card, a credit app.
Any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
Next, Claudia Gardner is joining us via video teleconferencing to discuss the Sarah Summit sponsors. Hi, Claudia.
Good morning. How is everybody?
Good, how are
Good. Public
Do you have
safety is asking-
$400,000 extra over there that we can borrow?
Yeah.
That's turning the tables, isn't it?
Tell Bobby those.
No, actually, I only have, let's see, $1,000 to offer you.
Help.
I'll pay.
That
All right, so
sounds,
public
we're going in the right
safety is
direction.
asking for, is asking for your approval, to receive sponsorship money from local businesses to help, offset the cost of our annual LEPC Sarah Summit.
We'll take it.
The event is
Stop selling. No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
This event is held for businesses, first responders, and elected officials, and they'll be able to network with their partners while learning how to be better prepared for an emergency. Last year's cost of the summit was approximately $7,000, and through sponsorships that were collected, there was zero cost to the general fund. So they're going after 100% coverage again this year is the goal. There are different levels of sponsorships. Platinum at $2,000, gold at $1,000, silver $500, and bronze $250. Each level is tiered with benefits for the businesses in forms of advertising and vendor location and the number of representative meals that are included. So today is our first time to come forward for this year's summit, and we have two sponsors on the table. One is Lewis Environmental, and the other is ACV. Both of them are area businesses that contract for businesses that have a hazardous materials spill. They're kind of a cleanup agency. Both of them are silver level sponsors, and they have $515 each. So we're just asking your approval to accept their sponsorship money for the LEPC Sarah Summit.
Any questions for Bobby?
Should we take action today before they change their minds? Monday's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Bobby.
Claudia.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 9 is the discussion of Cumberland County Commission for Women appointment recommendations for the following individuals. Heather Hart and Carrie Perry were recommended by the Cumberland County Commission for Women for appointments for a 3-year term. Their term to be effective April 22nd, 2019, and expiring April 21st, 2020. You should have received their membership applications to review. I think Jen sent them to you earlier in the week. If you do not have them, let me know and I will give them to you. So I will be asking for approval for that on Monday.
Sandy, what does with these two new additional members, what does that bring the complement?
18.
18, okay, good.
It's growing nicely.
Yes, it is.
That's good.
Okay, if you don't have any other questions on that, then we'll move on to the Commissioner's Liaison reports, and we'll begin with Commissioner DeFilippo.
Thanks, Sandy. I have 2 reports. First one is for the library system. A few highlights from the last meeting. The library system's internet filter is reaching the end of its useful life. Replacements are being evaluated and priced as we speak. Regarding testing the program registration software, the information technology staff is testing such software for online program registrations, which, among other things, will allow attendees to prepay for event costs, create wait lists, and move people up the wait list. And the update on Bent Creek, framing and drywall's been completed, most of the wiring's done, tile flooring's been installed at the entrance. Cubicles are 90% constructed, and the completion of the cubicles should be done by the end of this week. Countertops, cabinetry all will be installed April 29th, and the move should be done by mid-May. And we'd also like to report that the county funding for the library has been distributed to all the member libraries. Moving on to the Western Cumberland Council of Governments. In Cook Township, they are planning to update their comp plan with the assistance of our county planning commission. Dickinson Township, their zoning and salary ordinance updates were reviewed by the county planning department, and the county planning department is recommending some significant changes. Lower Frankfort, the planning commission is holding a public meeting regarding the updating of their zoning ordinance. And as mentioned earlier in today's meeting, Penn Township will be updating their comp plan and subdivision land development and zoning ordinance through the assistance of our land partnerships program grants. And that is unfruitful.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Hersler.
Sure, Sandy. Our county's Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board met on April 9, and so far this year, the county's home buyers down payment closing cost assistance program has helped 7 families purchase their first home. Since the inception of the program now over 20 years ago, the program has worked to help 714 income eligible Cumberland County families purchase their first home. But as I mentioned previously in my liaison reports, as highlighted yesterday in an article that was on the front page of the Sentinel, and subject of the discussion on WITF's Smart Talk yesterday. The effectiveness of this program and other efforts to secure housing for our county's workforce is challenged by the dearth of affordable housing. For example, there are 4 families who were awarded down payment and closing cost assistance grants last year, whose awards will expire within 2 months, solely because they can't find a home to purchase within an affordable price range. 8 additional families who were granted awards earlier this year are out there right now searching for a house within an affordable price range. And it was underscored yesterday in both the Carlisle Sentinel article and on the Smart Talk program that featured Cumberland County Housing Redevelopment Authority Executive Director Tim Whalen, and also our county's Director of Planning, Kirk Stoner. There is a definitive need in our county for more housing units, both from a rental and home ownership perspective. And I think as we've talked about this before, at least I've tried to generate and raise the attention of my colleagues to this issue, creative solutions will be necessitated. And as mentioned by Kirk on Smart Talk yesterday, one of those solutions will likely require zoning changes and the receptiveness to zoning changes by many of our municipalities relative to the issue of allowing for higher density residential unit development. And as we all know, higher density development can occur without sacrificing park and recreation and open space. So I'm hopeful that the study that's underway under the auspices of our planning department in conjunction with Shippensburg University can be wrapped up in short order. A housing shortage in this county is a matter that deserves priority attention by our county. And as I said before, it's a matter that will require collaboration among a whole host of stakeholders. And I'm just going to say, in my humble opinion, the future and continued prosperity and economic success of Cumberland County is tied intrinsically to how this county addresses the affordable housing issue, along with transportation and these other top issues as well. The Capital Region Council of Governments met Monday evening. Guest speaker was freshman Representative Andrew Lewis from Dauphin County. Representative Lewis indicated what we all hope is that this year's state budget should be accomplished without too much rancor, unlike in some recent previous years. The State House, with broad bipartisan support, has passed over the Senate a package of workforce development bills that are now up for consideration in the Senate, which, and this is also a priority of Governor Wolf in his budget proposal this year. Final planning is underway for the annual CapCog Municipal Surplus Equipment Auction, which is going to be held the 3rd Wednesday of July. Also, discussions are underway on the development with the assistance of Attorney Dan Cohen out of Pittsburgh relative to a model ordinance detailing design standards for wireless towers. And I think with this 5G coming into view, there may be a lot more of these towers that are going to be going up throughout our county and actually the nation. And let's see, there will be a stormwater roundtable meeting on May 14th at South Middleton Township, South Middleton Township building on the subject of memorandums of understanding with the region's conservation districts. That's all I have. The Housing and Redevelopment Authority boards meet at 12 noon today. I hope to be in attendance today.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Commissioner Eichelberg.
Okay, just a few things briefly. You were all in attendance at the Cumberland Area Economic Development Corporation board meeting, as well as the presentations, or as you are aware, closing in on a selection, final selection for the CEO position. high demand and perhaps may need some adjustment to accommodate the demand for providing green space and rec space for those new developments. So something on our radar for in the future, but that continues to be a successful program. This is the first year, as a reminder, that we're offering grants as well to municipalities for updating their zoning and planning and documentation, which of course takes on greater importance as they're in the path of some of the growth issues, and apparently a lot of interest in that. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how that all comes out. Also, I'm not sure if we were providing copies yet, but the commission was providing copies of the annual growth report, which reports on the growth trends in the county for 2018. I got to look at a photocopy reproduction. I'll make sure we have all the copies of that. But the things are trending upward, as we all know. This past year, 1,482 building permits issued in the county. I think that's a new high. Started higher than that in recent years. So we'll continue to see this trend develop, and that of course creates challenges for us and our member municipalities. And in sight right now to the issues we will have to, board commissioners and local boards will have to face regarding to that, including housing and transportation, as previously mentioned, and a number of other items. So we've got our work cut out for us over the next few years to be successful. So looking forward to it. And let's see, the only other item I had was earlier this week was the recycling board, Recycling and Waste Authority meeting. Very brief meeting, but a lot of discussion in regards to the just announced plan for waste management to acquire advanced disposal. We've seen a lot of consolidation in the disposal industry over the years. This is a massive one, and it will probably have some local implications in terms of contracts and the need for overlapping facilities to be divested and things of that nature. A lot of discussion, mostly speculative at this point, but clearly going to affect the waste and recycling landscape for us. So we'll be closely monitoring that, see if that actually gets approved, and what type of analysis the impacts will be. So that's very much on their radar, and we'll continue to monitor that. The discussion, as you're aware, we have every county is required to have a waste management plan, and every 10 years that has to undergo an update. We actually are a few years out from that, but Justin said that because of the various filings that are needed and some of the steps, that's actually a sort of 3-year process. Very low intensity up front, but it accelerates to a crescendo near the approval time. But they're on the outside edge of that now and starting to already work on gathering some input on a waste plan revisions. So that'll be occupying some staff time. And also, just to reiterate what I mentioned 2 weeks ago, household hazardous waste program, it has launched, it is soft launch, and so we're encouraged by what we're seeing there, a lot of interest, and that of course is a fee-based system similar to the e-cycling, and so far the adoption seems to be going well, even though a lot of folks are not accustomed to having the fee attached to that, but we recognize the realities in that area. Of course, this board granted permission for that program to roll out. That's continuing to go through its initial launch, and Kirk and Justin report that they feel it's going very, very well, very promising. So I'll have more details on that as things unfold with that. Just wanted to give you a quick update on the e-recycling, and that is, let's see, here we go. First quarter of 19, we collected 72,274 pounds of recycling material. That's a little lower than the fourth quarter, but not entirely unexpected. That tracks exactly where year over year we were Q1 of last year, so very, very close. And here are the cumulative stats since we opened. Number of pounds collected, 710,339. That's a lot of stuff, a lot of junk.
Including Commissioner Ursler's TV.
I think that accounted for half of this poundage total, actually.
Yeah, I boosted that too.
Let me thank you for
I just wanna, when did?
You did
this
pay your
start?
fee, though, right?
I did, absolutely, $24. I told you, it's
There you go.
$24.
But just so you
Yeah,
know,
that was
the
28,
average
I think.
charge to customers is $46.50, so you're trending.
All right, I got
over
off
that.
cheap then.
You got off cheap, so.
Well, my TV wasn't as heavy as I thought it
I did that as a sweetheart deal with the place, I'm not sure.
was. No sweetheart deal, they cut me a break. Hey, so when did we start this again? When did it actually start?
July 17th.
July, okay.
So 710,339.
That's amazing.
The number of transactions, i.e. customers who have shown up, including repeats, 7,629. And an average of 93 pounds per customer. Jim broke the average on that one, but he still underpaid. I'm not sure I figured that one out, but.
I just think it underscores the fact that this was a definitive need, and I'm glad that we were able to fulfill the need, even though the legislature failed this job in terms of providing for facility for the recycling after they essentially placed the moratorium on disposal of landfills and that occurred. So at least we came up with a solution here, and it's paying for itself, and that's perfect. I had one question, Gary, if you're finished, just relative to the household hazardous waste.
Right.
And I reported on that at the capital cog meeting that's coming up, the dates of, and the 30 cents a pound and whatever we're going to charge. The one question I had is, if I read it correctly, you need to make an appointment.
Right.
And I'm a little concerned about that because, if we're going to, we don't require an appointment for the electronics recycling.
Right.
Anyway, I just wondered whether there's any discussion about that, because I can see a lot of people, they might be willing to do it, but, having to make an advance appointment,
There's a lot of discussion around that, including at Monday's meeting, and so far, that has worked out well. I mean, essentially, you can do it online, set up a time frame. It allows for greater efficiency in the collection because it is somewhat time intensive. They have to classify everything and then assess the determine the fee. It's a little more time intensive than the e-recycling. So far, no issues, no complaints about that. The question was asked just Monday night, what happens if somebody just shows up?
Yeah.
And Justin said they anticipated that, and what they'll do is essentially try to fit people in, but the onus is still on the individual. They want to keep things flowing, keep to the appointment schedule for those who did. So he's hopeful they can be efficient enough that they can accommodate a few of those. That's going to have to be a wait and see. We'll see how prevalent that problem is. So far, they're reporting it. The schedule is full. People are logging in.
Yeah, and it is different in that it's only a one-day event. I understand that, as opposed to the electronic recycling is every week. So.
And we're trying to avoid the traffic stacking, which just impedes people's ability to participate.
Okay.
So far, they're going to be monitoring and very mindful of the fact there's a big change, and we'll be evaluating as we go. It's very much top of mind.
Okay, thanks.
The only other thing I wanted to mention on that, I think I actually got, the average is 93 pounds, $46.50 is the average fee that is paid on that distribution. And that's everything I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Eichelberger. Commissioners, I just wanted to report out on the Cumberland County Commission for Women, to give you a brief update of what they have done in the past and what they're considering for the future. They had their meeting on April the 11th, and at that meeting, they went over their 2019 venues, and they are thinking that maybe they would like to discuss the opioid epidemic, grandparents caring for kids, also known as family caregiving, and the opioid epidemic. They would like to partner with several resources to cover the aspects of family caring for family members and the needed resources and or contacts. They're looking to drug-free workplace, Commonwealth Prevention Alliance, Cumberland County, and others to involve a panel discussion and outreach and advocacy. So more details will be shared at a future planning meeting regarding this event that they would like to have. As frugal as they are, the Cumberland County Commission for Women approved the transfer of unused funding from the March 26th event that they had to be sent over to the budget for the event that's going to be held on April 30th for the Blind Disease Program. So the small amount of money that they get from it, they do utilize it very well. So I'm very pleased with that. The other thing that they discussed was the opportunity to have a scholarship award. They suggested the creation of a scholarship to support an opportunity for women or girls to attend or receive educational experiences through attendance at a conference, a camp, or course in the STEM or other area of interest. The members are interested in pursuing this if the commission allows issues of funding. The potential amount would be $500 for the scholarship, and it would be to Hopkins CTY Summer Camp at Dickinson, Central Penn Forensic Science Camp, YWCA Leadership Camp. The potential applicants would write an application essay for consideration, and then after they return from their experience, they need to provide the Cumberland County Commission for Women with an update of their program experience and the knowledge that they gained. So that's basically what they went over at their meeting.
Let's chip on that. So I like the idea of the scholarship. Are they proposing that they will raise this money, or are they proposing to use some of the $3,000 we grant them, or?
It's just a planning stage right now. They never really got to that point. That was just a
Gets to the
merely.
money too.
Yes. So they kind of just were throwing that out there to see if anybody, if that would be of interest, and it seemed like it would be. I think it's a good idea.
They would see sponsorships.
And I think that's
and
probably the way they're trying to
contributions,
go,
right?
yes.
Or they could, like the Conservation District does with the tree sales, they could come up with a fundraiser idea
Yes.
that, would generate the funding for them to award a scholarship to a deserving young girl or woman,
Right.
based on whatever criteria they establish. I think it's a great idea.
I do too, and I think they've come a long, long way since.
Since the next 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah,
They've explored different ideas, and I think they've gone outside of their comfort zone and just didn't do the same old thing that everybody else is
They're trying to
doing.
find real needs of the community.
Yes.
That's a big change.
So I think that's really great, and the commission keeps growing, and so they're sparking more interest.
Is there a question for the solicitor? Can we go there?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Believe it or not.
It's just stoic, guy. Is there, if hypothetically they are asking us to use part of the subsidy we give, the funding that we give for those scholarships, do we run afoul of anything there?
I don't believe
Do we have an
you-
oversight responsibility, maybe?
I don't believe you run afoul. I think you've given it to them for their various projects, unless you have certain strings attached to that funding that you gave, and I don't recall.
Okay, all right,
I
well, we
don't think
can,
there was anything attached to that, but I do think that they would like to support the fundraising portion of it before they
You're sure
would
of course,
utilize the
yeah.
other money, because they
we
like
got-
to stretch that money as far as they can.
we'll start at the beginning.
Yes.
Sandy, on the family caregivers support effort, which is something that I think is really important, and I'm glad that the Commission for Women is interested in moving forward with that. I would just ask that they, we have a program underway through the County's Office of Aging and Community Services, and I think they meet once a month, and it's all about trying to provide the assistance to those family members that are caring for loved ones, whether it be, you know, a grandchild, or whether it be, you know, a father or mother. You know, so,
And I think,
I just want them to, I think it'd be good if
they
they
did
hooked
reach
up,
out to
coordinated
Sandy,
with
yes.
what we're doing, and
Yes.
maybe they can even come to the next commission, somebody there comes next,
Absolutely.
you know, commission for the women's meeting too. All right.
Yeah, because they did mention that they did reach out to Sandy Ferrari, so I don't know, you know, what happened.
Okay, all right, good.
So,
It's an important,
stay tuned,
it's
we're
an
moving
important
forward.
meeting.
Okay. I would like to report executive sessions were held on April the 8th at 2:30 PM, April 10th at 2:30 PM, April 11th at 1 PM and 3 PM, all regarding personnel issues. I would also like to request an executive session be held directly after this meeting regarding land negotiations and personnel issues. Is there any other business that needs to come before the board?
We had an exec session yesterday, I believe,
Oh,
that should be mentioned.
yeah, there was also an exec session yesterday,
Personnel.
personnel.
What?
At 1:20.